Well, good morning and welcome back to another edition of the Bakersfield Business Partners podcast. My name is Duncan Harris. I'm the owner of Insurance Savings Group and the past president of Bakersfield Business Partners. We're a BNI chapter here in Bakersfield. And we were recently ranked the #1 chapter in the county and also the state by BNI's official survey. So happy to have that title. It was based on metrics such as looks, personality, charisma of the members. And BNI told us we were head and shoulders above the competition here. So listen, we have the best membership, and that's why we started this podcast, was to highlight our members. So today we have Cecile Shanklin with us. Good morning, Cecile.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm fabulous.
It's a Friday, so we should all be in a good mood. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for joining Alan and I. For those that don't know you, just introduce yourself really quick and what you do.
Good morning. My name is Cecile Shanklin. I am the sales manager at Ticor Title. We are an escrow title company here in Bakersfield.
Very cool. Very cool. So you've been on the podcast before, and you've kind of introduced yourself, and we've asked you, about your personal life and this and that. But today we want to dive in a little deeper to something that's more specific to your interest, to your field. So tell me what's going on with title.
Well, first of all, a lot of people don't know what escrow and title are.
What is escrow and title, if I could ask?
Because people don't use us except when they make the biggest purchase of their life and buy a house. So escrow and title, as an escrow company, we are a disinterested third party who carries out the terms and conditions of a real estate contract. As a title company, what we do is we search the title of the property, make sure that when the buyer buys the property, the title is clear, and we give them title insurance for that.
So you're kind of the person that when a home is bought and sold, you make sure the parties do what they're supposed to do, and you make sure that the house is being sold, that there's no attachments or
correct
something else unexpected. Yeah.
Correct.
It's an important job, kind of a behind-the-scenes job, but yeah, maybe you guys don't get as much credit as you deserve.
Well, it's, we're necessary because somebody has to handle all the money.
Right.
If
we left it up to the real estate agents, they would blow it. Let's be honest. They would screw it up. We know these agents. No. So anyhow, it's interesting. It is a behind the scenes, behind the curtains kind of job, but you guys do a lot.
We do. We work very closely with real estate agents. There are some great real estate agents here in town, very knowledgeable, and that's the thing about real estate agents. They have to really keep up on what's going on because in this day and age, there are changes all the time with the commissions, with all the disclosures, all the stuff that has to be done. It is so worth having a real estate agent that knows their business.
I know the real estate agents just had that national lawsuit, which kind of changed their commissions. Is that affecting you guys at all or your industry or not really?
Well, it affects it in the sense that we now have to, since the agents have to disclose how the commission is being split up, we also have to disclose that because we have to disclose to people what you're paying, what you're not paying, disclose to lenders what the buyer is paying, what they're not paying, all those different things. So does it affect us? Yes, it's just not the old cookie cutter.
Let me ask you, do you think that is a good move for the industry or a bad move or mixed? Will it have good results, bad results? I mean, is it too early to tell? What do you think?
To be perfectly honest, it's the exact same. Let me tell you why. Because you have a seller. The seller cannot sell his house unless he has a buyer that's giving him money.
Right.
So whereas it looked like the seller was paying the commission before, they didn't have anything to pay unless they had a buyer who was buying the property. So it's all in the way you look at it. It's all in the way it's explained to people because it's really, really not that complicated if you put it out on the table and you tell people and they understand.
Okay. So things will shake out and it'll be probably about the same as it was. Maybe just the paperwork's in a different order or something. Well, okay. Interesting. So tell me what's going on with title. Anything new? Any big changes that people should be aware of?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think the newest thing, as you said, is the commission because, you know, there are people that don't understand that. And there's agents, let's face it, who don't understand it, and they don't understand how to explain it. So we are dealing with that. But I think the biggest thing is I don't think the public really understands the necessity for an escrow company and for a title company. And the necessity is, as an escrow company, we handle all the money. We make sure that if you're buying the property and you bring us the money, we don't pay the seller until the property closes and records, okay? And as the title company, excuse me, we are making sure that we search the property, make sure there's no liens, judgments, deeds of trust, municipal liens, anything like that on the property, and then we can transfer it to the new buyer.
So what does that mean? You buy a house and you owe someone money, or you try and sell the house and you owe someone money? And what does that mean exactly?
So when you sell the house, if you have a deed of trust, which is a loan against the property, we need to know that so we can pay that off so that we can transfer the property. And if the new buyer is getting a loan, that loan can be attached to the property. But there's also things like municipal liens. Municipal liens is weed abatement liens, things like that. State tax liens, IRS liens, solar liens, second trust deeds, second home loans. There's all kinds of things that can be against a property. There's the hero loan that many people fell for years ago, that when they did it, the contractors told them it was going to be put on their taxes. They didn't tell them it was going to be on their property taxes. So they went in, they put on the solar, they did windows, doors, whatever it was, and this amount was attached to the property taxes along with a lot of fees and things. So people's property taxes went up exponentially.
Right.
So we have to make sure that all of that stuff comes together. We know about everything. We pay everything off if that's what everybody wants to do, and we can transfer the property.
Is it like a high percentage of homes now that maybe have some of these issues or different things going on?
Well, pretty much, I mean, loans, first deeds of trust, second deeds of trust, those are pretty common. The hero loans, we're not seeing those as much anymore because people have refinanced out or they have sold the property, because a lot of people had to sell the property because they couldn't afford the property taxes. I mean, their payments went up $400 or $500 a month, and people can't afford that. Municipal liens, we are seeing more of those because there's properties that investors are buying and selling and those kinds of things. So we do see some of those. But it's just important that you have someone search that title and make sure those things aren't there, because if I, as a buyer, if I buy that house and all those things aren't taken care of, all those things now fall on me because they're attached to the property. And the other thing is child support liens. People don't think that those attach to the property. Yes, they do, because if I own a piece of property and I have a child support judgment filed against me, then it attaches to the property and you have to clear that too. So there's different nuances that people don't understand, and that's what we have to explain.
Now, what happens if you make a mistake, or if a title company makes a mistake and you buy this house and 78 years ago there was a transfer to here and there? I mean, can we talk about that? I mean, is there protection? I mean, let's talk about those situations.
Absolutely. That's what you have title insurance for.
Okay.
When you purchase title insurance, and there's two types of title insurance. There's an owner's policy, which the seller traditionally purchases for the buyer to ensure that the buyer is getting the property free and clear of any liens and encumbrances. And then there's a lender's policy, which the lender purchases because they want to make sure that their loan is in first position. Okay?
Got it.
So if you purchase a piece of property and somebody comes back and says, wait a minute, no, that's mine. My grandpa Ed, he left it to me back 35 years ago. Whatever it is, what we do is we send it to our claims department. They investigate it, and they handle it. As the owner of the property, you don't have to handle it. We have one right now that is gotten into quite a big deal because somebody did something, and we have it at the claims department. They are handling everything. The people aren't worrying about it. They're still in their home, don't have to worry about it.
So essentially the people that bought the house, this issue arises after the sale, but they're protected. They're fully protected. They really don't have to worry about losing their home or moving out. The title insurance policy would pay off someone else who's trying to claim a deed or something.
Or take them to court, whatever needs to be done. We look at it in our local office first and see if we can figure out what happened and if we can rectify it. And if we can do that, then we will do it here, no charge. We'll go out, get deeds signed, whatever needs to be done. But if it's a larger thing that people refuse to help us handle, then we will send it to claims and they will take care of it.
I would think some of this stuff would be pretty hard to research.
Some of it is. Our title plants go back to, the one that I have access to goes back to 1972, I believe.
Okay.
So I can look back that far. We can also look up people's names. So if there was documents recorded against them, liens, encumbrances, anything like that against their name, we can see that too, because we have a source to see that. We can also see other things that have gone on with the property, like new construction things. We can see where the maps are filed, the new tract maps, those kinds of things. So there's a lot of things that we can look at that help us determine that. Now, if the property has not been sold for quite a long time, which some of our farmland and ag land and those kinds of things, it's been in families for a very long time, they have to go back and back. And way back in the day, all these things were written by hand, and they have them on microfiche, which are now on, it's crazy. It's very crazy.
It's probably like Farmer John's land starts at the rock and
that's exactly it.
Goes north to the big oak tree.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's what's called a meets and bounds description. And they say, it goes from the edge of the creek where the horse pole is, north, however far, to the big red oak tree.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, interesting. I mean, what an interesting aspect of the real estate industry. Yeah, people aren't paying attention to it. What's the best part about your job? What's the thing you enjoy the most?
I enjoy the people, and I enjoy the investigative work because it really is fun to go back and try and figure. Sometimes it's very, very tedious, but sometimes you can go back and go back and go back and go back because, again, some of these old farmers and stuff, they leave property to people. So Farmer John has 6 kids. So Farmer John dies. Farmer John leaves his property to the 6 kids, okay? Now, the 6 kids each have 3, 4, 5, 6 kids each. One of those people dies and leaves it to their 6 kids. Oh. So it can be you have to know your math. And I didn't think I was going to use that, when I got to this age in life, but man, you have to know your math. Your fractions are just,
Yeah. Well, how quickly it expands from one person to 74 people.
Yes.
Well, cool. Do people get to choose their title company? Is that something the real estate agents pick? Or, how does that kind of work?
Traditionally here in Kern County, the seller chooses.
The seller will choose.
The seller will choose. However, most real estate agents have a title company that they have a relationship with. They have an escrow officer and a sales representative that they have a relationship with. So it's just kind of one of those things.
Yeah.
The other thing I did want to tell people is our fees are set by the Department of Insurance. We can't change them. And so, and it's funny, people want to know, well, wait a minute, how come it costs that? How come it costs that? Mm-hmm. We have to petition the Department of Real Estate if we want to change our fees. So, and in the grand scheme of things, in the grand scheme of commissions for agents and lender fees and all those things, our fees really are not that much. They're
Small
based on your
fraction.
sales.
Yeah.
Based on your sales price.
Yeah, interesting. And then the seller pays or the buyer or?
So the seller and the buyer usually split the escrow fee.
Okay.
The seller will pay for the owner's policy to ensure the buyer that they're getting free and clear title. And the buyer will pay, if they're getting a loan on the property, they will pay the lender's
For
policy.
the lender's policy.
Yes.
Got it.
Yes.
That makes sense.
And then there's a couple other fees in there that, it's pretty typical. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Very cool. Well, interesting. Let's shift gears here. Let's talk about BNI. How long have you been a member of Bakersfield Business Partners?
Oh,
If you remember.
boy.
It's been what, a month, 2 months?
It's been since inception almost. How long have we been
I don't
a chapter?
know. I think it's 2008, 2009, something
yeah.
like that.
Yeah. So, yep, back
15 years?
way back. Yes. And I'm going to tell you, it was something that at first I was kind of like, oh, really? I have to go do this every Tuesday morning?
Mm-hmm.
But the relationships, the friendships, the knowledge that I've gained from the other people in our chapter, if somebody asks me about something, if I don't know, I can let them know where I can get the answer and go get it. It really is quite amazing. It really, really is a great group, and people should really utilize it.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Cecile. We're going to wrap up. There are some construction workers getting started above us.
Yes, there is.
Thank you for joining us. Always fun to talk with you. And if you guys need title, talk to Cecile. How would they reach you?
They can call me. My number is 661-319-3851. Our office is located on the corner of Stockdale and Callaway at 10,000 Stockdale Highway, Suite 101, Ticor Title Company. And any questions you have, just give me a call. I can look up the title on your property if you're just curious. If you want to know if grandma is still on title, or if she put one of her favorite nieces or nephews on title, we can look at that too.
Awesome. I love it. Okay. Until next time, Cecile, have a good weekend. And
Thank you.
We'll see you next week.
You bet.